What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about SoundHound. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down what's moving it higher, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoundHound is up 6.44%, 1151 the low, 1265 the high. So a lot of good momentum. First thing, you had that crazy spike up, a lot of big money buying that up as well. So this is kind of that string of buying that caused it to go higher. At the same time, you're seeing a lot of volume. So 39.7 million shares being traded, 27.7 is the average. No official news from SoundHound, no SEC filings today. But one of the biggest driving factors, or I guess two things, is one, it's technicals, which I'm going to go over near the end of the video. And second point is a new analyst rating, the highest rating now for SoundHound. So you did have Scott with H.C. Wainwright give a $18 buy. So pretty good stuff. And as far as I'm aware, H.C. Wainwright previously did have 24, but still, nonetheless, no different than Daniel Ives. I think just things haven't been going according to plan for SoundHound. A lot of just grayness in the air, but still, $18 is very optimistic considering where SoundHound is at. So as a consensus over the last 3 months, you have $11.42 that average price target, representing a 4.83% downside. So kind of weird stuff, but as I've kind of mentioned in the past, I think this is kind of proof that a lot of Wall Street just does not know how to appropriately value innovative companies, such as SoundHound, Palantir, and many others. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Aside from all that fun stuff, you are seeing shorts increase 3,000 shares. So pretty much absolutely nothing today. If we can kind of look at that teal line, they've been kind of looking like just back and forth, like they were returning a little bit more first thing. So they're starting to increase, but still them increasing 3,000 shares net right now is relatively optimistic. That's how I see things, at least. So for those of you that do believe that SoundHound is a squeeze play, still technically on the table, but 31.05% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 113.55 million shares overall are being shorted. Moving over to options, you are seeing roughly around 9.95 in calls and then 905,000 in puts. 53% of all the options being done today are optimistic in nature, and that actually doesn't sound all too crazy, but if you actually compare it to what is happening in the broader market, you're having a lot of bearishness in the market. So maybe some people feel that it is somewhat peaked because over the last couple of weeks, we've had a very phenomenal run in the broader market. But in SoundHound's case, you're still seeing optimism. So definitely good to see. Based on the bulls, you are seeing a consensus for it to be roughly around that 13 for this week and then 14 plus going into next week. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 1150 to 11. So in reality, still a lot more upside is anticipated. A lot of big transactions occurring on both the secondary market as well as the dark pool. Dark pool, as per usual, is often enough used by shorts and other large entities. So you are seeing a lot of big buys on here. And again, if we kind of pop over to this, so they'll pull up SoundHound. Latest 13Fs do show a lot of institutions have been increasing their position. So a lot of, looks like Capital Fund did a kind of a strategy calls and puts. Of course, based on 13F, it doesn't actually show exactly what type of calls or what strike price or anything. And on a side note, all of these 13Fs did occur during Q1. I know I've mentioned that in the past, but just wanted to kind of reiterate that. But nonetheless, you are seeing a lot of institutions increasing their positions, such as Geode increasing 8.54% quarter over quarter. And so they have roughly 8.1 million shares right now. So institutions definitely were buying the SoundHound dip in Q1. So let me know your viewpoint on that. With it right now at $12, it is right below this R3. So it's currently trading between this R3 and this R2. So 1073 is going to be a strong support. I don't see that being touched, at least in the foreseeable future, as I even mentioned in my last video. 1204 is going to be the next strong target / resistance, followed by 1549. And then aside from basically the analyst rating, is just piggybacking off of the broader market. So as far as on the actual chart itself, so you do have this point right here, that 100-day moving average sitting at 1216. So that's going to be pretty much the next kind of real thing for SoundHound to break above. And if it does, then I feel like there is a good chance of a potential squeeze. So a lot of kind of looks like it did a quick 180 ever since their earnings. And even when the earnings did play out, I said that it wasn't all that bad. Didn't really justify the pullback. I think just a lot of people had some high expectations. And this is what I find rather comical about the broader market, is that during the earnings, it was selling off. People were somewhat hesitant about it, didn't really like the good future guidance. But at the same time, analysts just come out and say, hey, you know what, this is worth 15, Daniel Ives or Scott most recently with 18, and then Wall Street's like, oh my God, this is a buy, let's bring it up. So it's kind of comical. It's just goes to show how Wall Street largely is just sheep. You just have to find good analysts that cover innovative companies such as Daniel Ives and just believe. SoundHound isn't going to become a $1 trillion company overnight. Things take time. And again, that's assuming SoundHound will hit that level ever. But let me know your viewpoint on SoundHound. So those are a couple of key points to really watch for. Only negative when it comes down to SoundHound and pretty much every stock out there is because of the recent run, you are seeing everything pretty much overbought. So first sign of weakness, whether it be specific to SoundHound or the broader market, you could see some consolidation. So let me know your thoughts on all of that. Are you buying? Are you selling? What are you doing with SoundHound? And I know I've mentioned this on some other kind of channels and whatever else, but for those of you that are dabbling with options, during times of a breakout, you might want to avoid doing covered calls because that's usually not the most ideal scenario. So if you do feel a stock is going to move higher, either stick to selling puts, that way you can still collect premiums and whatever else, or just buy calls. Or you can do a little bit more complex strategies as well, but definitely avoid doing covered calls in my opinion. But no matter what, again, you guys do whatever the hell floats your boat. So let me know your thoughts on SoundHound. Are you buying the dip? Are you selling? And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon. I give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.